Hi, I'm Vikram and welcome to the Sakshi India Geo Bee 2014. In the last episode, we explored countries and their capitals. We learnt important facts about countries like Ukraine, Belgium, Brazil, South Africa, Libya, and many more. In this episode, we're going to look at climatology and natural phenomena. It's important to understand what affects the climate and weather because everything we do depends on it. Whether it's rainfall for agriculture or tsunamis and volcanoes affecting tourism and commerce, we need to understand the fundamental phenomena that affect the world around us. So let's get started. The Earth's atmosphere is composed of 5 distinct layers. You have the first layer, then you have the stratosphere, then the mesosphere, and finally the exosphere. So what is that first layer called that is closest to the Earth's surface? The answer is troposphere. The troposphere is the layer of the atmosphere that's closest to the Earth's surface. Let's move on to the next question. This type of cloud is puffy and it looks like floating pieces of cotton. The base of the cloud is flat and may be only 1,000 meters off the ground. The top of the cloud has rounded towers. What is this type of cloud called? I'll just recap that for you. These clouds are puffy and look like pieces of cotton that are floating. The base of the clouds is flat and it has rounded towers at the top. They might be as low as 1,000 meters off the ground. The answer is cumulus clouds. Cumulus is one type of cloud. Like that, you also have cumulonimbus and several other types. Let's move on to the next question. This ancient city in the province of Naples in southern Italy is known for its Roman ruins. It was destroyed by the volcanic eruption of Mount Vesuvius. Which city am I talking about? I'm sure you've seen plenty of images of this city flattened to the ground by the volcanic eruption. You can see only ruins. The answer is Pompeii. Let's move on to the next question. This should be a simple one. The question is just short and sweet. Which is the largest delta in the world and where is it located? Let me just tell you what a delta is. A delta is basically a landform that is created where a river flows into an ocean or a sea or a lake. So where is the world's largest delta and where is it located? The answer is Sundarbans in West Bengal in India. It's the world's largest delta. Moving on to the next question. Which is the world's tallest waterfall? These look spectacular. The answer is the Angel Falls in Venezuela, in South America. The Angel Falls. Moving on to the next question. This weather phenomenon is defined by prolonged warming in the Pacific Ocean sea surface temperature when compared with the average values. It is characterized by high air pressure in the Western Pacific and low air pressure over the Eastern Pacific. It causes global changes in both temperature and rainfall. It was in the news recently when there were fears that agricultural production were going to get hit. Again, what is this weather phenomenon called? The answer is El Niño. That's E-L space N-I-N-O. El Niño. Moving on to the next question. This area in and around the Pacific Ocean is given its name because of the large number of earthquakes and volcanoes that occur here. About 90% of the world's earthquakes occur here. It also contains 75% of the world's volcanoes. So what is the name given to this area? The answer is the Pacific Ring of Fire. You've heard lots of news stories about tsunamis, earthquakes, volcanoes in the last 10 years. The chances are most of them have occurred in the Pacific Ring of Fire. Let's move on to the next question. There is a term given to precipitation like rain that is acidic and contains elevated levels of hydrogen ions. It's caused by emissions of sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide into the atmosphere. It has harmful effects on plants, aquatic animals, and infrastructure. What is the name given to this precipitation that has high acidic content? The answer is acid rain. Acid rain. As the rain falls, it absorbs and reacts with the sulfur dioxide and nitrogen oxide and causes damage to plants, aquatic animals, and infrastructure. Let's move on to the next question. This global time standard originally referred to the mean solar time at the Royal Observatory in one part of London. Where is this observatory and what time standard are we speaking about? I'll just repeat that for you. Remember, we're speaking about the observatory in one part of London, and we're talking about an internationally accepted time standard. The answer is Greenwich. And the time standard is GMT, that's Greenwich Mean Time. So India's time zone is GMT plus 5.5 hours. So all global time is given in terms of GMT. So it's an internationally accepted standard. Moving on to the next question. The interior structure of Earth is composed of 3 concentric layers. The outermost layer is solid and it's called the crust. The innermost layer is molten and it's called the core. What is the name of the highly viscous middle layer? I'll just repeat that for you. The Earth's internal structure is made up of 3 concentric layers. The outer layer is called the crust. The innermost layer is called the core. So what is the name of the middle layer? The answer is the mantle. So you have the crust and then the mantle and then the core. Let's go on to the next question. What is the name of the deepest point in any of the world's oceans? And which ocean does this point belong to? You've heard of lots of different trenches in a lot of oceans, especially the Atlantic and Pacific Ocean. Which is the deepest trench of all of these and which ocean is it located in? The answer is the Mariana Trench in the Pacific Ocean. It goes several miles below the sea surface. Let's go on to the next question. The Gobi Desert stretches across 2 countries. One of those is China. Which is the other country? We've heard so much about the Gobi Desert, we have a vague idea of where it is. But I'm now telling you that it stretches across 2 countries, one of them being China. So which is the other one? The answer is Mongolia. On to the next question. This collection of islands west of Ecuador in the Pacific Ocean has the perfect climate to support its extensive wildlife diversity. What Charles Darwin observed here contributed hugely to his theory of evolution. It is also home to the largest tortoise species in the world. Which island are we speaking about? The answer is Galapagos. Galapagos Islands and the Galapagos tortoise is named after them. Moving on to the next question. We've all heard of Hurricane Katrina. It was one of the most deadly Atlantic tropical cyclones to ever hit the US. It was the costliest natural disaster with hundreds of billions of dollars in damage. More than 1,800 people lost their lives when Hurricane Katrina struck. Which famous American city, which is also a cultural hotspot, was destroyed by the hurricane? The answer is New Orleans in the state of Louisiana. They had built a lot of levees to contain the water, but the levees failed miserably. So New Orleans was completely destroyed. Let's move on to the next question. I'm going to be speaking about a word. I want you to tell me what that word is. It's a word of Japanese origin. It refers to a seismic sea wave. It is caused by the displacement of a large amount of water in a body like an ocean or sea. What is the word I am referring to? Japanese origin, caused by the displacement of large amount of water in an ocean or in a sea. The word I'm looking for is tsunami. Let's move on to the next question. This North European Nordic country is known for its natural springs and geysers. It is a hotbed of volcanic activity, leading to the country getting more than 85% of its energy needs from renewable sources, with geothermal alone contributing more than 50%. Its capital is Reykjavik. Which country am I referring to? I'll just recap those facts for you. It's a northern European country. It's the home of a lot of volcanic and seismic activity. It gets a lot of its energy from geothermal and from renewable sources. And it has a capital city called Reykjavik. The country I'm speaking about is Iceland. Let's move on to our last question. Which is the wettest place on earth? That is, receives the most rainfall on an annual basis. I can bet most of you all just said Cherrapunji. But the answer is actually Mawsynram in Meghalaya, India. Mawsynram is just 15 kilometers from Cherrapunji, but receives slightly more rainfall than Cherrapunji. So Mawsynram is the wettest place on earth. That brings us to the end of another episode in this preparatory series for the Sakshi India Geo Bee. I hope you learned something new about climatology, weather, and natural phenomena that affect the world we live in on a daily basis. In our next episode, we will cover the social, cultural, and physical geography of India.